All right, so I think it's part four. Could be part five, but I'm pretty sure it's part four of the How to Establish a Kingdom in the World Today series, I guess. Um, and I've just talked about, you know, rulers conversing with each other, trying to have a mutual benefit for their people. Um, so by this time, if this was actually taking place, by this time the ruler would understand the role of what they're doing. They would understand how. Sorry, I'm changing that because it looks weird. They would understand how the game is being played. So I don't need really to go into much detail about anything else in that regard because if you've got to the point where you're actually negotiating with other societies, um, you probably could figure things out more. It just would now you would have more practice at it. But this is just to provide a slight opening up the door for people looking in this society to to do that because the unprecedented opportunity for a reset is happening. Okay, it's happening all around the world. So and there's going to be things that are taking place that will actually allow this to happen all over again. And it's pretty exciting, right? And it's yeah, pretty exciting. Unfortunate in some places because in order for that to happen, as I explained earlier, there has to be a collapse of the current establishment. And it's sad that that's happening and people can't even see it because as I've just referred to, there's this education system in place that actually is telling people that it's normal. Societal collapse is normal. Of course, that's a simplified way of saying it. It's said a lot more elegantly, something like progress. We are continuing to progress towards technological advancement. It's like, okay, but if technological advancement means that people are getting killed, why would we want to advance there? You're saying that you look out for people, that this is good for people, yet at the same time, you're killing people, right? So it's like there's only one place that can go, and it's collapse, it's failure. It's always happened like that all throughout history. There's so this isn't obviously this isn't directed towards those people who don't care because generally nothing will change their mind because that's literally how they are. They're blind and they cannot see that that is happening. So I'm not worried. You hope the best for them, but that's their own choice. Okay. So I'm just gonna quickly think for a second whether I've covered things. I can go into a bit more detail about. Oh yeah, maybe I'll just go briefly on the arts and things like that, which are also crucial and necessary for survival, right? And what art is a manifestation or materialization of something that is immaterial and unknown, right? So I'm taking a thought or a concept and I'm going to materialize it in a way that it can be conveyed to people, right? Because if I were to just explain to you the core mechanics, of something like, you know perhaps a hinge, right? If I were to just explain to you that, I mean, you might get it, right? And I'm telling you, hey, yeah, it's a hinge, and it allows for, but obviously I'm not going to do emotion because this is kind of an art in itself. But I'm explaining to you what a hinge is, right? It allows for, a pivoting at a certain fulcrum or whatever. So that two planes can choose what angle that they're relating to each other. I can explain it in some way like that. It might People may not get it, right, because that's a very technical explanation of what that thing is. Now imagine trying to explain a concept or a principle or a belief in that same technical language. It doesn't get to everybody, right? Because there has to be some type of comparison, right? If I were now to speak of the hinge without you seeing it, I said, well, a hinge is, and I use my same terminology, that it's a device which allows, two faces or two planes to change the angle at which they're related, or which they, intersect. And I were to provide no visualization, it'd be like, huh? Like, what is that? I don't really get what that is, right? If I were to now say, oh, it's like a butterfly's wings. Okay, I get it, right? Because we have some type of visual reference of something that we already know and understand to be able to connect that to. It's like, oh, well, a hinge is a good thing. Yes. Okay. Art allows us to do that with beliefs and things that, whether it's like, it could be metaphysical, right? And we're trying to convey that, express that in a way that people understand and see it for what it is, the mechanics of it, without having to go through the technical explanation or terminology that cannot provide a visual image. So you have to have art because there's lots of things that need to be conveyed to the society that won't make sense to everybody, right? So you have to convey that through art. If there's a type of harmony in the society or peace, right, you can even open up your meetings with some type of art or music that reflects that, right? Or maybe you'll color your hall where you assemble, right? Let me go back, erase this. Okay. If you were to now take this hall where you all, assemble on the on the inside here, that's not a good image at all, but that's the inside of this building. And say there's chairs there. It's the way in which you orientate and construct this hall could change the disposition or the receptiveness of the people within here, right? If people are here listening, and you're trying to, talk or give some type of direction, or converse. If I had these walls painted yellow, that's going to be kind of detractive for some people, and it could subconsciously send a message that I don't like this. I don't know why, but I don't like this, and they can actually kind of be a bit averse to what was said as they're covered with the color yellow, right? Because it changes the psychological, it changes the emotional state of the person. But if this color, say, was red, right, like a royal red, the carpets are red, right, and the ceiling maybe is like a nice royal blue, kind of like this chocolate bar color, right? If that, I don't know if you can even see that, but if that were the case, like, it changes what people feel, right? Because these colors have different associations for people, but there's ultimately an objective effect that happens from these colors. And some people can, those blue and red, they will feel more, it'll feel more official, and they will actually be more receptive to the message and actually try to follow it out a little more, whether they know so or not. So art, in that sense, it needs to be studied, and it needs to be enacted, and there's artists that you need to call on for that. There's also messages which the best example I can use is what you understand as propaganda, right? It's a government. It's generally understood as something being negative, right? But the government could be putting out um, a type of message that's false, but the way in which it's made makes the people think that they're being good citizens and heroic to support this cause. Yet it's a bad cause, but it looks good on the poster or in the music, right? That's used all the time. So you have to be aware of that to be able to not be taken in by it, right? If I'm aware that if I'm aware that it's a windy day outside, it doesn't necessarily mean I won't go outside, but I'd probably not go outside carrying, a big sheet of wood or something, right? Like or a you know baggy clothes. Say if it was extremely windy, I wouldn't go outside with that because I know it would carry me away. So I'd say, okay, I'm still going to go outside, but I'm going to dress differently for the weather because I know what the weather is, right? So knowing these different techniques and methods being used are necessary to not be taken in by them and to stand back and look at these objectively and to be able to judge where they're coming from and what they're trying to get you to do, right? So art is important because it can change the whole mood of the society and can actually help them, benefit them in a lot of ways. Um, and I think I'm going to end on that. I do have more videos to come, kind of explaining different random topics or things. And if anybody has any questions, they could message me or anything. But I think that's about it. So thank you for your time, and I'll see you soon. Thank you.